In a world that feels like it's constantly changing, you'd think every field would have its own completely unique recipe for success. But what if there's a single, powerful framework that applies almost everywhere? It's not some niche theory, but a unifying principle you can find in marketing, in organizational design, and well beyond. It's called the Barbell Strategy, and it's an incredibly potent mental model for thriving in complexity.
Okay, so let's break this down. At its core, the barbell strategy actually comes from the world of investing. So picture a literal barbell. On one end, you load up the heavy, stable weights. These are your low-risk, predictable assets. This is the foundation that protects you from any major losses. Then, on the complete opposite end, you've got another set of weights. These represent your high-risk, high-reward ventures, the ones with that explosive potential for growth. But here's the real kicker. That bar connecting them, it's empty. And that's the whole point. You deliberately, consciously avoid that mediocre, undifferentiated middle ground.
And this is where it gets really fascinating, and it's the core of what we're going to unpack today. This idea of avoiding the middle isn't just about finance. We're going to see how this strategy is a powerful mental model for making better decisions in almost any complex field you can think of, from the way you create content to how you actually design an entire organization.
So here's how we're going to tackle this. First up, we'll diagnose the problem this whole strategy is designed to solve, what we're calling the noisy middle. Then we'll build one side of our barbell, the stable foundation. After that, we'll explore the other, more exciting side, the strategic edge. And finally, we'll bring it all together to really rethink how we approach that middle ground. Okay, so let's jump right into our first argument, the noisy middle. This is where we'll dig into why that comfortable, seemingly safe, mediocre middle has actually become a zone of, well, diminishing returns. And in a lot of cases, it's a genuinely dangerous strategic trap. You can see this and almost feel this perfectly in the world of content marketing. On one side, you have what one of our sources calls noise, and you know what this is. It's that endless stream of low-quality, generic stuff created just to fill a calendar or chase a keyword. The results? Exactly what you'd expect. It erodes credibility, it leads to high bounce rates, and ultimately, it's a huge waste of resources. Now contrast that with what the source calls voice content. This is the high-quality, authoritative work that actually helps people. It establishes you as an expert, builds trust, and drives real business outcomes. That vast, forgettable middle ground of generic blog posts, that's pure noise. And let's be really clear here, playing in this noisy middle isn't just ineffective, it's actively damaging. Putting out useless content doesn't just get ignored, it actually corrodes your brand's reputation. It compromises the trust you have with your customers, and over time, it can even hurt your organic traffic as search engines get way smarter about rewarding real value. It's a strategy that isn't just neutral, it's deeply counterproductive. And this trap of the noisy middle isn't just about the content you create. It shows up everywhere, especially in marketing analytics. So many teams fall into this trap by focusing only on simple last-click attribution. A quote from one of our sources just nails the problem. Attribution often hides the real driver. Follow the customer journey beyond the first click. You see, when you only measure that one easy-to-see step right before a sale, you're ignoring the entire complex journey that built awareness and trust in the first place. You're basically looking at the analytical version of noise. So when you step back and look at the evidence, a really clear picture emerges. This middle ground, the one defined by flimsy transactional relationships, easily measured but misleading vanity metrics, and just useless noise, it isn't a safe space. It is a strategic trap. It's a place of stagnation where your resources get wasted and any real sustainable value is completely hidden. Okay, so that brings us to the solution, right? If the middle is a trap, what do we do? Well, the barbell strategy says we move to the extremes. So let's start by carefully building out the low-risk, high-predictability side of our barbell. This is our bedrock. To see this stable foundation in action, let's look at how organizations are built, specifically through staffing. The noisy middle here is that classic transactional model, treating every single hiring need as a one-off problem to solve. And according to one source, that just leads to inconsistent delivery and unpredictable costs. The barbell alternative? It's the partnership model. This is a total shift in mindset, focusing on enduring relationships and proactive workforce consulting, all with the goal of building a resilient talent pipeline for the long haul. And this is what's so powerful about that partnership model. It creates these compounding assets over time. Unlike a one-time transaction, a strategic partnership builds what our source material calls long-term data equity. Over the years, you build up these talent communities of pre-vetted professionals. You get priceless market benchmarks. This literally transforms staffing from a reactive chore into a source of proactive, data-driven strategic intelligence. It's a fascinating shift from just a cost to a real asset.
And this isn't just some nice theory, the data backs it up completely. Research from SHRM, that's the Society for Human Resource Management, shows that a huge 82% of organizations using people analytics do it specifically to improve retention and turnover. I mean, think about that. That's the vast majority of companies using this data to tackle one of their biggest, most expensive problems. This is the safety net of the barbell, made tangible.
You hear this phrase, plumbing before polish, and it's a perfect fit here, because the same foundational principle is absolutely critical in other complex areas, like AI adoption. Every organization wants the flashy, advanced AI capabilities, but to get there, you have to have a rock-solid foundation first. You've got to unify your data, you've got to build trust through clear policies, and only then can you create the sophisticated workflows where AI actually delivers that transformative value. Skipping these steps is a proven recipe for failure.
All right, so we've built our stable, predictable foundation. It's solid. Now let's swing over to the other end of the barbell and see how this all connects. This is our third argument, the strategic edge. Here we're talking about those calculated, high-risk, but high-reward bets that drive real, game-changing transformation.
So what is this strategic edge? Well, you find it in the places where the easy-to-read dashboards start to fail you. This side of the barbell demands a different kind of thinking. It's about embracing calculated risks and having the strategic patience to go after initiatives that might not have an immediate, obvious payoff, but which have the potential for those outsized, game-changing returns down the line.
Let's make this really concrete with a marketing budget.
A noisy middle approach is to just pour money into bottom-of-funnel conversion campaigns. Because, hey, they're easy to measure.
But a barbell approach is radically different. For instance, one source recommends allocating the majority, a full 60% of your budget to top-of-funnel awareness campaigns. These are notoriously difficult to track with simple metrics, which makes them feel risky. But that is the strategic bet that fuels the entire pipeline for future growth.
This quote about YouTube advertising just nails the mindset you need. YouTube users rarely click on ads. You can't think about YouTube through a traditional click-based lens. Someone stuck in that last click, middle ground thinking would look at the data and write it off as a failure. But a barbell strategist sees the immense long-term value in building a brand and influence, and they understand that true impact isn't always captured by a simple click.
And you can see this exact same long-term bet playing out with artificial intelligence. The progression is pretty clear. We start with AI as a simple assistant, then we move to integrated teams working on defined workflows. But the ultimate strategic edge, the far end of the barbell, is this human-led, agent-operated model. This is the big prize, where humans set the strategy and AI agents actually execute the operational work. This isn't just an improvement, it's a fundamental reimagining of how work gets done.
All right, so let's pull all of this together. We've dissected the problem of the noisy middle, we've built the security of a stable foundation, and we've explored the incredible potential of a strategic edge. Now let's see how we can apply this as a practical, really powerful mental model. So let's just lay it all out, side by side. On one end of our barbell, we have the stable foundation. This is all about predictability and resilience. This is where we build compounding value with things like first-party data and true partnerships. On the complete other end, we have the strategic edge. This is where we chase growth and transformation with brand campaigns and AI-operated workflows. And that leaves the zone we must consciously and deliberately avoid, the noisy middle, a place of vanity metrics and junk content that only leads to wasted resources and stagnation.
So here's the big takeaway. The barbell strategy isn't about choosing safety or risk. It's about choosing both with real intention. By consciously investing in a resilient, predictable foundation while also making calculated, high-impact strategic bets, organizations can build a system that is robust enough to withstand the unexpected and, at the very same time, positioned to capture the opportunities that lead to transformative growth.
And that really brings us to the most important question, the one you can actually take with you. A mental model is only useful if you use it. So as you reflect on this framework, here's the question to consider. What is the most valuable, mediocre middle you need to abandon in your own work?